want to first just talk about the CLA atmosphere. You've been there as a player. Have you been there as a reporter yet?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I've been there this season. I was there when South Carolina played Stanford. I was there when South Carolina played Maryland. So both games, incredible atmospheres. And it's loud. It's so loud. It's really fun. And they cheer for everything. So they don't just cheer when South Carolina makes a bucket, like a charge, cause turnover, just quality defensive slide. The fans just go crazy.
And being a former Tennessee Bull, I guess, what do you see this matchup? I know Tennessee isn't looking the best or how you probably want them to look right now, but what are you going to see from this matchup, you think?
Tennessee is definitely, I would say, I don't want to say trending down, but they are struggling while I think South Carolina is elevating. Like, while South Carolina, the pieces are being put together perfectly right now. And it's like, oh, that didn't fit before, but now this fits. And oh, that didn't fit, but now this fits, right? Tennessee is almost on the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's like, where everything used to fit, now there's kind of holes, and they have some things to figure out. Obviously, I've dealt with some injuries. Jordan Horston got injured in the Alabama game, so hope that she's okay. But for Tennessee, I mean, if they want to have a shot at South Carolina, it has to be with incredible effort, especially on the defensive end, especially when it comes to rebounding. I mean, they just have to let Colonial Life Arena breathe life into them and play like almost with reckless abandon. I think that's the only way you can beat South Carolina. If you play with reckless abandon, play like you have nothing to lose, it's way easier said than done, because there's going to be pressure and it's going to feel so intense. And to be honest, they're going to have to hit shots, because against South Carolina, it's almost impossible to drive the ball. It's almost impossible. You have to hit shots first to spread them out, because their length and their athleticism, it's brutal. So the effort and the playing like you have nothing to lose has to happen for Tennessee.
And it's impossible to drive the ball because you've got Aaliyah Boston there. That's just going to deny anything that you want to put up there. She's been a huge part of this Gamecocks team for a couple of years now, but this year just seems like it is her time to shine. And obviously she's been in this conversation of National Player of the Year. So, I talked to Holly a little bit about it just from her perspective, and from your perspective and your platform, I guess, what storyline are you seeing? What narrative are you seeing? And maybe what's your opinion?
I think for me, I honestly think that other players are, in my opinion, we're talking about other players just to have a conversation, because I don't think there's a debate that it's Aaliyah Boston. Like, you want to have the conversation, and I think that's fair. But as far as a player that gives, and I'm not going to knock any of the other players, but I'm going to list things for Aaliyah Boston that are consistent every night, that other players in the conversation, there are pieces of that aren't consistent, right? So like her effort, consistent every single night, her patience, her positive attitude, her taking care of the ball, her skill set, her intangibles, her leadership, dominating on the inside, also scoring on the outside, right? High efficiency, field goal percentage. She's a post, but she can pass the ball, right? So when you think about a complete player that has been complete consistently the whole season, it's Aaliyah Boston.
This broadcast, the first women's basketball college game day in 11 years, I guess, what does that say, from your shoes, kind of how women's basketball in college has grown over the years?
It's really special. I mean, for Colonial Life Arena to fill up so consistently, the community of women's basketball, and the idea that, South Carolina has been the best example. You can grow a program from nothing in this day and age, right? You didn't have to start 40 years ago. You didn't have to start 20 years ago. You can start 10 years ago and really, build something special if you do it the right way. And for game day to be at South Carolina with the way that they've done things and with the way that the fan base is, I think it's going to show how special women's basketball is and get even more people excited about women's basketball. So it'll be a lot of fun.
When you think of South Carolina women's basketball, when you think of Dawn Staley, I guess, what do you think of?
When I think of South Carolina and Dawn Staley, what really comes to my mind immediately is the right way. Like, I think that they've done it and she's done it the right way. When I think about the practices I've been to and the way she coaches her players and the honesty and the conversations and how she's genuine and how the fan base has legitimately grown in an authentic way from back when, I think in my first couple seasons at Tennessee, we played at South Carolina and we weren't worried about it at all. Transition to my senior year where we were, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I was like, God, I do not want to go play at South Carolina, right? Like just totally stressed out. So I think about it, and I know when one of my close friends, Tiffany Mitchell, played for Don Staley at South Carolina. And so I've always had a love for that program, even when we played each other, just because when you have a close friend, you want them to be successful. And to see the success now, I just think it's been done the right way. And I think the fans cheer for the team the right way. I think they're completely invested. Like I've seen South Carolina fans be positive about their team when they're not playing well. And I've seen South Carolina fans on Twitter giving a positive perspective or saying something that they still love and appreciate about their team, like real fans. Like when I think of being a fan, you cheer for your team. That's your job as a fan. Your job is not to tear them down. Your job is not to talk bad about them. As a fan, your job is to cheer and support and encourage, right? Like they know when they're doing things wrong. Trust me, this South Carolina team has great knowledge and self-awareness. And I think the fans are genuinely passionate about their program and Dawn Staley. And I think it's been done. You know, she's had a consistent staff. Everyone knows their roles. You know, I just think it's been done the right way.